I am all of those things and just me, Tom Tynan, here at Home Show Live, or AskTom Live. There we go. And I do Home Show Radio, which is live too, on Saturdays and Sundays. So I do a little bit of everything, but usually it's because I'm alive. So being alive helps me do my work. There's no doubt about it. Breathing is something that must be done during my work. Many of us have to breathe while we work. Anyway, let's not go down that road. Let's go down the road of what I do, and that's on Saturday and Sundays. I'm on Home Show Radio, on Sports Radio 610, Saturdays from 9 to noon. And by the way, a little quick, and we'll be hitting on it more. This Saturday, it'll be at the Humble Civic Center in Houston, Texas, or in Humble, but it's right out of Houston, Texas. And we'll be doing the Home Show Live there on Saturdays. And of course, on Sundays, 8 to 11, always on Sports Radio 610 is where the broadcast goes through. And before me on Saturdays, we have the Garden Pros. And the Garden Pros have many different people on there. Maybe this weekend we'll have...
Anita Nelson.
Yeah.
Anita Nelson from Nelson Nursery and Water Garden. West Houston's local nursery will be out there on the show. And I just want to apologize in advance. I'm not dying. I'm not on COVID. I just have a little frog in my throat today, and there it is.
That's it. Apologize to everybody on the other side out there that you don't have COVID. He's sorry he doesn't have COVID.
Right. If I did,
in Canada,
I would do the show with a mask on, just so not to infect.
Yeah, that'll help. Okay. Anyway, you couldn't be in a better place if you had COVID and do work too than right here at AskTom Live, because you're in a room all by yourself, so it's perfect.
We both are.
That's right. I know we are. I could have COVID too.
Yeah,
I know we're kind of making joke of a terrible thing, but at this point in time, we almost have to.
When I was young, I told people I want to grow up and sit in a room and talk to myself. So here I am doing that.
And I just did it as a child, so it came natural to me. I didn't tell people.
Hey, we don't have any in the news this week, but I do have a fact sheet here all about the Gala live broadcast featuring Tom Tynan.
There you go.
Yes, boys and girls, we're packing up our bits, our bytes, our mics, our cables, and all of our gigawatts and taking them up to the Lake Houston Home and Outdoor Living Show. Yes, I've done my show prep. That's why I'm reading it. We have, hang on a second. Yes, Chad, I can. Give me a minute. Tony's going to join us.
Oh, that would be cool.
About this, yeah.
Now, Tony is the one who runs the shows.
A minute while I do this, because I got to send him
you
this
do
link.
that. Do that.
Okay.
Tony's the person who puts the whole show together. He's a wonderful person. And we've got 3 of them coming up, but this first weekend we're going to have this one. I, like Charlie was saying, would have had that fact sheet, but I get on a plane at 7 in the morning to get to Houston. I'm down in Brownsville, Texas, just down the other end of the Gulf Coast. And I will not only have that this weekend on Saturday, so I will be there for sure live and in person unless the plane doesn't make it. And if that's the case, I'll drive. It's just 5 hours. It's a long drive. I will definitely be there. And next weekend I won't be on the air at all because I'm going also back to Houston because I have my annual training with the Texas State Guard. So I'll be in uniform for 4 days doing my duty here. But it's going to be an interesting weekend. But yeah, that's why I don't have my sheet. And Tony will be on in a minute because it is in my backpack. And so Charlie had to get one from Chad, who decided to get Tony and then told Charlie that Tony would be coming on. So Charlie hit all the buttons. And now I'm handing it back to Charlie.
We're waiting for Tony. Yeah, I want to tell you.
We're waiting for Tony.
That was some world-class vamping right there, Tom. I just want to give you. That was like... Right. I'm impressed. Yeah, but no.
Well, I'm
Tony
looking forward to going home tomorrow with a trifection shower. Yeah. So I'm good, man. Either way, I'm heading out of here.
Yeah, I have. But the bottom line is, Tom's going to be at the Lake Houston Home and Outdoor Living Show at the Humble Civic Center.
Right.
We know people aren't from Houston when they tell us they're going to be at the Humble Civic Center.
Well, it's like in New York, it's Houston, and in Houston, it's Houston, spelled the same way.
And in Germany, it's Berlin, and in New Hampshire, it's Berlin. So anyway, you got to know how to say things.
Did not know that, but okay.
Yeah, and in Texas, it's Bernie. Still haven't figured that one out yet. Anyway, but there will be hundreds of home improvement ideas and plant sales, and there's a cooking stage.
Well, that's always good. Food is good.
You're going to be there to help with the cooking?
Like food.
I'm sure Tony's going to dial in here any second. We'll talk about
it. I will smell the cooking.
But here's a question I have for Tony.
Doing the show, all I can do is smell it. Yes.
Here's a question I have for Tony about this, okay? It's right here on this fact sheet. It says, teachers get half off admission at the door, and active military personnel, vets, fire, police, and first responders get in free. So my question is if
I get it free.
If I'm a military teacher, do you pay me to come in?
Well, that one I can't answer. But I'm getting in free
We'll have to
because
ask
I'm
Tony
active.
when he comes in. All right. I'll tell you what. While we're waiting for Tony to get his bits and bytes in order, why don't we go ahead and start answering some questions here? That's what we do here,
good.
by the way. You send us your
Tony will be
questions.
there.
And in case you're wondering, what you do is you go to HomeShowRadio.com and click on that Ask Tom button right there. And it brings you to this page and then a form, and you can send us pictures and what have you, and we're happy to answer them. And our first one comes from Joe in Plainfield, Illinois. And he wants to know, I have a barn-style 14 by 36 manufactured outbuilding with a metal roof, and I've insulated because we plan to heat and cool it as an office and hobby space for my laser. Should I install a vapor barrier? There's no running water, no bathroom, no kitchen, but my laser, he says, does use water to cool the CO2 tube, but it doesn't leak. So he's playing with his laser.
No, I love the laser idea. I'm not sure what kind it is. There's all kinds of lasers out there, from laser printing to laser welders, for that matter. But as far as the vapor barrier, that part I got down. No, the answer is absolutely not. There's no reason for it at all. Vapor barriers are a very strange item that are misused constantly. Where they're used is in very cold climates. Now, if you were in New Hampshire, you had mentioned that earlier, so I'll use that, a place where I was actually born, in Exeter, New Hampshire. It gets very cold. And when you get freezing temperatures outside and you try to heat the inside of your home the best you can, which you do, no matter how you heat it, warm air holds more water than cold air. So as the warm air wants to push to the outside, as you're heating the interior and the outside's very cold, it takes moisture with it. And if you let moisture get into the wall cavity of any kind, it'll find a place where it'll freeze. So vapor barriers are used to avoid the freezing issue inside a wall cavity that happens in very cold climates. Besides that, very rarely, unless you have, I guess maybe with some wine cellars or something like that, there might be some issues. But with what you're doing and a barn and air conditioning, heating it, your air conditioning system should handle what's called the latent load, which is the water in the air, as well as the sensible heat and the latent heat, and it'll take care of it all. No vapor barriers at all necessary. Don't use them. It'll cause more problems than good.
All right, fair enough.
Is that okay? I wasn't sure if Tony was ready. Huh?
Well, no, I'll let you know. I'll give you a signal.
Okay, that'll work. Not that I look down there much, but okay.
Yeah, but the... Oh, I see on your screen. Okay.
Yeah, because I got to look down like this.
It threw me off a little with that one. See, let me explain, boys and girls. Tom's in Brownsville over there. That's Brownsville over there.
I mentioned that.
And I'm in Houston.
Way down here. And Houston is way up here.
Yeah.
Along this Gulf Coast little water line we call the Gulf of Mexico.
This is about the time my wife is doing this, St. Charlie.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Next question we have for you here, Tom, comes from Sadiq in Spring. He says, I'm getting my roof replaced, and the roofing company is recommending ridge vents on my roof. What's your opinion on these in the Houston climate, and are there any drawbacks? Now, I'm guessing that he's new to the show, because I know that you've been promoting ridge vents since as long as I've known you.
First off, I'm glad to have somebody new. I hope we have hundreds of new people every hour. That keeps me on the air, hopefully for another 35 years. So that's kind of important when you're in radio, that new people join. If you always rely on your old people, forget it. You'll be out pretty quick. As far as the ridge vents, yes, but it's not just me. I was talking about them back in the 80s and people thought I was a little crazy. But the roofing industry, roofing installers who know their business, everybody is going to always use ridge vents. And in fact, a GAF Master Elite roofing contractor that I know named Jim Hardwick, who owns Ideal Roofing, to get the really strong warranties, you have to have a ridge vent with the roof. And the ridge vent comes from GAF, that comes with their roofing system, because the whole system, which allows you to get that really strong warranty. So there's no downfalls at all. The answer is yes, use them. You can look it up 100 different ways to see. It just ventilates the roof, gets rid of the water, keeps the attic dry, and that way everything from your insulation to your radiant barriers, if you have them, they all work real well, and you don't have any moisture buildup in attic. And like we were talking with the vapor barriers, hot air wants to hold water. Attics get really hot, more water's up there. You want to get the water out. Hot air rises, convective heat currents. It takes the water with it, so it keeps your attic dry.
Yeah. Now, there are times when you can't do a ridge vent, aren't there? I mean, aren't there kinds of roofs where you don't have a long enough run or something because of all the hip joints and stuff?
Well, let's just say this: some roofs don't have a ridge. So, Charlie, flat roofs, shed roofs, you have roofs that die into other walls. There's areas where ridge vents aren't available because those are the obvious areas. Low pitched roofs, if it's too low, water will get in the ridge vent, and that goes with any kind of vent. So you can't use almost any kind of vent in a lot of these roof systems. But if you have ridges and it's a 5, 12 or greater as far as the pitch goes, every ridge should have one. Do you have to supplement with some others sometimes? Because like Charlie, you were saying you have shorter ridges on a hip system. Then they even have hip vents for that matter. Or yes, you can supplement with some of the other ones. But if you have a typical ridge, it is definitely a place to put one.
Yeah, and again, like you said, the idea is not to cool your attic. The idea is just to allow the moisture to get out of there, which is really...
Hot air rises very slowly, very methodically. Mm-hmm. It's like a sponge. As it rises, it's getting hotter. And I'm only talking about a few degrees as it rises. But all the water is sucking into it. When the water sucks into it, it takes the water out. What happens is the insulation on the floor of the attic stays really dry. Dry insulation works better. Wet insulation has a lot of humidity in there. It drops its R value tremendously. And so you don't get an R30, even though you think you have one, you might have an R10 by the time all that humidity in the Gulf Coast here in the Houston area is going to build up in there. So the drier, the better.
All right. Dennis is in Aiken, South Carolina. And by the way, if y'all have questions and you want to send them to us, you can go ahead and put them down in the comments section down below. And we'd be happy to put your questions in here as well. That's why we're doing the show live. We could tape it.
And we have before.
And not have to do that. Yeah, but we stopped taping it.
Circumstances.
Yeah, seriously, you know why we stopped taping it? The consultants, the consultants told us that the taped ones don't do as well as the live ones. And so we said, why are we going to all that trouble then? So that's why, in case you're wondering, why we don't always do a live show, why there's not a live show, now you know. When Tom and I are not around, rather than run a recorded one, we just don't do it.
Yeah, so next Thursday's an example. You got a commitment and I got a commitment.
We do. Right.
Yeah.
I'm going
But now wait, I want to know who the consultant is. I have never met this consultant. Zach?
What's his name? No. We
I thought it was one of you guys in there.
No, the boss came loose with some money, and
I see.
We hired somebody to help us with our Facebook algorithm. So it's exciting stuff we're doing here. So, all right, hey, I think now I'm going to take a chance here. Let me assign.
We've been filling.
We're not filling as much.
No, it's fun. We had good questions.
We're doing the voodoo we do, and he's on his phone, and he's got it held vertical. So get ready. We're going to have one of those kind of things because here's Tony. Look at that.
Tony. He looks angry.
Hey.
There he is. Now he's smiling kind of.
Charlie, what's up, man?
Hey, buddy. Now, just in case y'all are wondering.
By the swim spa. Can you get me?
You're in a spa. Can you go wide on that?
Can you get
me? Just hold the phone out further. Do the whole selfie thing.
Oh, he's in a swim. Oh, next to the swim. I thought you were in it. Okay,
nice.
Fine, cool.
Look at him.
Nice. Yeah.
Love what you've done with your place there, Tony.
Awesome.
So Tony's at his house right now in front of his.
Yes, in front of his TV. All right. I like it.
I reserved it for you guys.
That's actually, Tony, I haven't told Tom yet, but that's where he's doing his show Saturday. We have,
I don't have a problem with that.
We have a home show Speedo he can put on, and we're going to put him in there for 3 hours and see what he looks like when he comes out.
Yes.
Anyway, that's one of many. I'm sure you have a whole bunch of.
Trucks.
Say that again?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Hundreds of them.
I told Tom, bring his swim trunks, or several pairs.
I will.
Swim trunks. Right. I lost you.
You know, if he's going to do that, I will be there, but I will bring the camera. So that'll sound exciting.
I can get there early, and I won't need trunks. Just give me bubbles. I'll be good.
It's an adult show.
Yes.
And anyway, but no. So what have you got teed up, Tony, for this year to kick off this? I mean, this is your kickoff show for the season. What have you got teed up?
Yeah. Well, you got them.
Okay, now hold on. He's speaking in Mandarin, so let me
see what the consultants say about that, Charlie.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Tony. Here's what you need to do.
No, we've got.
Don't hang up. Do me a favor. Walk outside. because we'll get a better signal. I know you want to have the hot tub in the background, but go outside. And we're not going to hang up on you or anything, but I'm going to take you off while you get outside.
It's a trick, Tony. Don't
so we
do
get
it.
a better signal. No, go outside and get a better signal. Okay, there's a good look. Okay, yeah. Okay.
It's a trick.
Yeah, it's a trick. It's a trick to get him disconnected. But seriously, this whole thing is going to take place up at this is like fantastic television. At 80, see, that's why it's on the internet. You couldn't put this on television. He's going to be at 82.
Actually,
Oh, that's so much better. Look at you. I see you've been getting some sun there, buddy. You look good. So tell us what you have teed up for the show this weekend.
Well, it's just home improvement, man. That's what people want. They want people are spending so much money in their homes since COVID. Of course, they were doing that before too, but certainly even more now. And then, of course, the great freeze of 2021 was a boom for a lot of home improvement vendors, obviously. So, and I think people are still catching up on that. So, it's just a good place to get some ideas or find your contractors for home improvement, whatever it is, landscapes, pools, windows, doors, you name it. And glad to have experts like Tom there too to answer questions. So, we're excited about it. It's here at the Lake Houston. It's at the Humble Civic Center, and we're trying to hit every corner of Houston. Northeast Houston is booming too, just like Northwest Houston, just like North Houston, just like Southwest Houston. It's booming everywhere in this town. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's building. I mean, there are whole new subdivisions going on up there. It's a good point. Now, this is on Will Clayton Parkway, which means you get off there. It's like right near the airport. And then you go east. Everything tells you want to go west. You go east, and it's not far up, and it's on the left, and it's really a nice facility.
I'd say it's about a mile at the most. It's not very far. So
it's further.
It's right at 59 north. So it's right off 59.
Yeah.
And lots. North, it says here that you're going to have hands-on workshops. You can make your own and take it home. What are we making?
That's right. Well, this gal's really, really good. Her name's Rebecca Warner. She owns AR Workshop Cypress. It's one of those places where ladies go in, well, guys too, I guess, drink a glass of wine and do some stuff, that kind of thing. But she won't be doing that here. But you can actually do these little pillow covers, and she bought some good ones so that this isn't just some junky one. You come out to the show and you'll be able to paint on this canvas pillow. It's washable, the whole shebang. And she'll have 4 workshops a day, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. We've not done that before, but people really like that, especially people who maybe bring kids too. But it's not just kids. I mean, I've seen everybody in there doing it. But this is the first time we've had these pillow covers, which, again, they can make it and then they can take it home. So
that sounds cool. And you're gonna have a plant sale. You got a cooking stage. Assume that you're gonna have somebody teaching cooking up there. You have a cooking stage.
Yeah, cookware and stuff. There'll be some good food trucks. Cousins Made Lobster will be here on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
We've got a really good taco truck and a Cajun Asian food truck. How about that? It's Cajun spelled with a K. And they'll be here too. So just a lot of stuff, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Walk around, meet vendors, meet guys like Tom.
And other lesser experts will be there as well.
I'll be there. Yes.
So, I think it's just a fun time. Barbecue grills, just all kinds of stuff.
Super.
You name it, you can get it.
And then we'll have Tom's going to broadcast 9 to noon, and then he's going to hang around until 2 o'clock answering your questions. So if you want some one-on-one time, what used to happen with Tom, and I'd love it if it happened some more, people would show up and they'd bring their plans. I think, one time somebody brought a toilet, and Tony's already bringing in the security to make sure that everything will be under control.
We can teach CPR and, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
What could happen next?
I got a fire truck going by here. I can't hear it.
No kidding, really?
Nevertheless.
Wow. Okay.
You told me to go outside, so I did.
No, it's working. All right.
Well, now, wait a minute. The fire truck, they get in for free, right? Firemen, policemen, soldiers.
Right.
Do we get? What's the deal there, Tony?
First responders are on Sunday are free. Nurses, firemen, vets, whatever. We're also doing half price for teachers. They can come any day, Saturday or Sunday, half price.
Cool.
So,
and if you want to
kind of
save,
new thing. We should have been doing it a while back, but we're doing it now.
good for you.
Okay.
And if you want to save $3 off this cavalcade of home improvement knowledge and fun, you go to HomeShowRadio.com. There's a button there, and you can get a coupon and or a discount link, and you go there. And if you're under 12 or act like you are, you can get in free as well.
Well, I'm getting in free.
Deal. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right. That sounds great. Tony, this is going to be fun. I'm
free.
so excited to have the shows back. And I know that a couple weeks you're going to be in, where's the next one? Montgomery County, right?
Montgomery County.
Yeah, next one's Montgomery County.
Then,
on the
3
5th.
weeks after that, we'll be in Cypress.
Okay.
That's
super.
right. 29th.
It's Sci-Fair.
Yep.
Is
Sci
that the
Fair.
Berry Center?
Seeing plenty of each other.
Sounds good. But never enough, Tony, where you're concerned. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Great seeing you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you this weekend. All right, buddy. There you go. There's Tony. He's I'll tell you what, nicer guy. I
great
love
guy.
we love supporting his shows because he's such a good man. He takes care. His son helps him with the business. It's a really nice group of people, and so if
Yeah,
you've
I'm
not,
looking forward to this workshop. He said, where women drink wine and do things.
he had me
Okay,
at wine.
I'm with that. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Count me in.
In fact, there's going to be wine, women, and so Tom will be there to sing.
I will
So there'll
sing.
be songs.
I will.
That's
I will
it.
sing.
All right.
I like it.
Hey, while we were blathering on there with Tony, and somebody said that he had somebody wrote here that he's doing a throwback to AOL with that connection of his. I think I'm hoping
There you go. I remember those days.
yeah, I'm hoping he has a great show so he can get a more updated phone. But here's a question that comes from Shanette. I hope I'm saying this right, Shanette. Shanette Love. And Tom, she writes, and this is a two-parter, so let me give you the first part and I'll give you the second part. She says, there's 100 feet of pipe under my home and it's laying flat. This is for the outgoing water from my washing machine and kitchen sink. There's a bulge in the middle that stretches about 50 feet, and there's no longer wait a minute, here's the second half of it, slope. So gravity doesn't pull the wastewater from my home, so it backs up into the home. So I haven't been able to use my dishwasher or washing machine. Is there a way to correct this problem without, third part, repiping? I've had a bid for $12,000 to run a new pipe to replace the current pipes. So what's your advice for Shanette?
I think you're going to end up paying the $1,200, Miss Levin. I don't know
12,000.
what else to tell you. Huh?
12,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I saw it was at 12. Once those pipes, if they're laying flat or they get a belly in them, or in this case, I'm not sure what the bulge is, but usually it's a belly where it'll start to go up and back down again, and that way you'd have to dig it up and try to save it, but it's easier just to dig a new trench and drop a new pipe in there. You need 1/8 inch per foot drop to get any waste from the house to the sewer. And this does happen with older homes as everything starts to shift. I don't know of any other way to do it but exactly that. And that's actually the easiest way. If you try to repair the one you have, it would actually be more work. So it'd be more labor. And the pipe itself costs virtually nothing. It's all the work, all the labor. It's all the digging that really is the big expense.
I had a friend once upon a time who had this problem with the bellied pipes under the house.
Yep.
And so the plumber actually trenched around the house, and they took the drains, rerouted the drains out so they ran around the house and then down to the sewer.
And you can do that. I had to do that when I put a swimming pool in. So there's lots of times you'll reroute everything, and it could be because of swimming pool or because that way you don't have to go up under a house and do all that damage underneath. So yeah, sometimes rerouting is even an option for other issues as well as maybe something like this. But trying to save an old line that's got a belly and a flat line and giving you problems, you can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Well, Shanette adds that, by the way, great pronunciation. Apparently I nailed it. And, that's why. Cool. Trained professional right here. All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Love.
And she says that belly's the best word. Is there anybody you recommend for this? I guess, you would obviously be Abacus. This would be an Abacus plumbing job for
It's
you.
a plumber, and the best plumber we have will be Abacus. But I want you to know that you can get good plumbers out, different ones. The price is probably going to be pretty much the same. You might get a little variation. So it's not something where you're going to find a 50% discount by any means. It's just a lot of work.
All right, Jeff has just written into us. He says, is it better to remodel an older house to rent out or buy a new home and rent that out? There's a Zen question for you. Buy an old one and remodel it and rent it, or buy a new one and rent it out?
There's no exact answer for that. If you bought an older house and there wasn't much remodeling needed, and you're only taking up to a certain type of quality because it's a rental, a lot of people do that all the time. You'll hear the companies, we buy ugly homes, things like that. Those are the companies that will just dress everything up, paint it, some new countertops, a new floor, and boom, they put renters in there pretty quick. So usually if you get a great deal on a home and you don't have to put much into it and you have the people to do it quickly, then that's probably more common than it would to buy a brand new home and use it as a rental, because with new homes, you're paying new upscale prices with all the new materials, the labor shortages, the supply line shortages, you got all this other stuff that's being put on top of it. And it's usually in a newer community, so you don't see your return on it that fast. Now, if you get in a home that's in such bad shape, you got to rebuild the whole thing. Sometimes it's easier just to build a new one instead of try to remodel an old one. So that's the fine line, and that's why there's not an absolute answer for that one.
Fair enough. Got a question for you from buddy Jibby John, who writes into us from time to time. He says, dig this. I have two 50-gallon water heaters that are 12 years old. The water in the city had issues. It smelled fishy. Now I'm storing fishy water. Do I need anything else to the tank other than draining it? I don't know if the anode raised rods would have gotten affected on this. Also, is there a reason why people don't get more than one tankless water heater? There's a question for you.
Well, there are reasons to get more than one tankless. Let's start with that one first. The other one, draining it out, it's a little bit easier than what you want to do. That's simple. But I've had homes that are built homes that are so big, let's say 8,000 square feet, that it was easier and better for the clientele to put on-demand water heaters in different sections and have different hot water zones. I even have 2 zones in my house, not that it's big, but because I have 2 different types of water heating systems. So the kitchen and half bath and laundry is on one, and the bathrooms are on another. And it's very simple. It's less pipe, but it's on two separate zones. So you can have more than one on demand. I have 2. One's a booster and one's a whole system for the kitchen and laundry room. As far as if you have smelly water and you want to drain them, the easiest way to drain it is go to your tub, just turn on the hot water spigot, and let it run till the fishy smell goes away. You don't have to put hoses on the water heater. You don't have to do all that. If it's truly just smelly water that they gave you for a short period of time, if it continues to smell and you continue to have problems, then it could be something else. But the way you're asked your question is that they gave you fishy smelling water, which is gross. I wouldn't like that either. And if it's just in there and there's no reason to keep it in there, open up all your tubs, your spigots, and let it drain. And when the smell goes away, it should take maybe 20 minutes or so. I know it seems like you're wasting a lot of water, but it probably isn't going to cost you all that much. Just go ahead and drain 100 gallons of water right down the drain until it's all fresh and see if the smell goes away. When you have a weekend home and you go to the weekend home, and that's every month or so, might not just be an exact weekend, and it has a smelly water coming from the hot water tank, then that's what you do. You just drain it out and then let it reheat, and usually the smell goes away. It sometimes gets sour if it sits too long.
All right, let's get through some quick questions here. Here's one from Dennis in Aiken, South Carolina. Is there a difference in the preparation for painting over wallpaper if the wallpaper is cloth? He says, meaning, can I still just paint it with Zinsser bin, then paint it with normal latex paint?
Yes, you would have to use the Zinsser first. You have to try it on a spot. So just what I always tell people, just take a 2 foot by 2 foot area approximately, don't have to be exact, and paint it with the Zinsser and let it dry. Don't do anything. If it starts to bubble or anything, just let it dry and see what you end up with. Sometimes the cloth paper has to come down. We'll have to see. But if the Zinsser can seal it in and that paper was put on with the right adhesive where it's not affected by the Zinsser, that's great. What happens with latex paint, it's got water in it. So when you put the latex paint on there, the water will deactivate the glue, and that's what you're trying to avoid. The Zinsser doesn't have water. It's a different type of... I just lost one of my... Oh, that came back on. How about that? The Zinsser has a different base to it So it doesn't have a water in there that deactivates the glue. So once it dries, when you go back with latex paint, when you go back with joint compound, the water doesn't get past it because it's a vapor barrier and it holds that old glue in place. And that's what you want it to do. So try an area, you should be okay, but don't put latex on there. It'll probably bubble right off and you'll have to scrape it all off. It'll be a big mess.
Now, this cloth, I'm assuming that it doesn't have some sort of raised pattern on it or something. It's literally
It probably
a flat
does.
cloth.
Imagine a cloth. It's going to have a texture to it.
Mm-hmm. And so
But if it
are you going to
paints-
float over that before you paint it then? Or
The only way you can float over it is if you zinsser it first.
okay.
That way the water from the joint compound doesn't get back behind it. That's the whole point of using the zinsser, is to have a vapor barrier that allows no water to pass through to the back of the wallpaper. That's why you got to try it on a spot. And some people might not mind the texture, Charlie, once it's painted.
Mm-hmm.
The texture might give it, if it's a nice, clean texture, it might be fine for them. I don't know. I have to see the paper, and you'd have to determine that.
All right. Here's one comes from Michael in Copperfield. He says, I have very low hot water pressure in my house. Even though the water is getting hot, my 40-gallon tank heater is 12 years old and rusted at the bottom. Should I just flush it or buy a new one? And who can clean copper water pipes? He says he has both single and dual faucets. So there's a bunch of non sequiturs there, Tom. Let's let you figure that one.
No, it's easy. You got two issues here. One is get rid of the water heater. I don't care about the water pressure, although it could be coming from that. So that's the first thing you do, because it might have so much crud in there that it's blocking the fill tube. And so it's really not filling up and pressurizing like it's supposed to. So it's like sticking your finger in the end of a hose, so to speak. You're not getting the full pressure from the water. You're making some come out, but you're eliminating a lot of it. And because there's rust on the bottom, let's go ahead and get it out of there. It's 12 years old. Don't try to drain it. The thing just needs to be replaced. Once you replace it, I don't think you'll have to do anything to your copper lines. So that might just be a check off the box that you don't have to do. The pressure's all back. It was all in the water heater. Replace the water heater. If you do have to clean your lines, TDT, they do the same thing mainly with galvanized lines, but they do it with copper too, because sometimes you'll get some problems with copper. And so it can be sandblasted on the inside and cleaned out. And that would be the one company I know that does it with the Ace Duraflow system. But I don't think you'll need it. I think the water heater is your culprit. And I think it's time to say goodbye.
All right. Well, not yet, because I got one more question for you.
Okay.
Oh, to the water
I didn't
heater.
mean that goodbye, but okay.
Okay. All right. Kent in Galveston says, wants to know, what's your opinion on diffusers on water faucets? I had taken them all off years ago in mine and my wife's house in Pearland, and all seemed just fine. And we moved to Galveston about 6 years ago, but as life gets busy, just getting around to thinking about it now. Kent, you're my kind of guy. So what are your thoughts, Tom?
First off, Charlie, don't do it, because your water bill will go up even higher. And then you won't hear the end of it. And I know that's an ongoing thing in your house.
It's an issue at my house, yes.
Yeah, that's why all the stuff we talked about today about running the tub and stuff, Charlie's not allowed to do it.
Well, no, hold on. I blame Jeff Roberts at Trifection, because he built such a beautiful shower in there that you get in there and you never want to get out. So it's his fault. It's on Jeff. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So anyway, so how about Kent? What's his deal?
Back to the diffusers. It's not really a diffuser. It's called an aerator. The aerators are on the end of your faucets, and it makes the water not splash all over your body and come out like the end of a hose, just solid stream of water. It mixes air with it, so it uses less water. It does restrict the water flow coming out and control it, but it also makes it more controllable coming out. If you don't want them, you don't have to have them. You use a lot more water, it probably is double the water, and that's fine too. That's up to you. So if you want to take them off, just screw them off. They're there to keep the water from kind of going all over the place and splashing around. But some faucets do that more than others. Some don't do it, and it just comes out like a hard stream, like on a hose, with no air in it, so you can actually see through it, where an aerator, you can hear the air in it. And most shower heads and faucets now all have aerators on there. Totally up to you.
All right. I just want to remind you that you can experience Tom Tynan in 3D this weekend.
Really?
Yes, you can visit.
Am I on Meta, the Avatar land?
No. This is better. This is like real life.
This is better.
Tom Tynan
Everything's
at the Humble Convention Center, right? The Humble Civic Center.
Civic.
Yeah, it's a civic center. So be civil when you go in there. He'll be there at the Lake Houston Home and Outdoor Living Show this weekend, broadcasting live. You know, he stands there. He does the whole thing with his hand over his ear while he does the show and the whole 9 yards. From
Not
9
really.
till 12.
I do that here with this thing, but I have real big headphones there.
Yeah.
I like those better.
Yeah, he does, because you can't hear anything anybody says. So anyway, Tom will be there.
true.
And then after he's off, he gets off at noon, but he'll stay around a couple hours to answer questions too. So if you want to bring something out and show it to him or whatever, that's your chance. Other than
Love
that,
to see you. Yeah.
other than that, you find him on the radio this weekend.
Saturday from 9 to noon, which will be live too, but it'll still be on the radio. And then Sunday, we get back together. I'm back at my house in Houston. I'm glad to be home for a little while, and I'll be doing it live from there from 8 to noon. And Charlie, you're going to be joining me from 8 to 8:30 on Sunday morning. And then, of course, Garden Pros, which is right before me on Saturday from 7 until 9.
Yeah, and Anita Nelson will be there. If you want to get your questions on this show or that early edition show, go ahead and fill out the Ask Tom button. It takes you to this page here, and you can send us a written one or a video, and that will, in any second, you're going to see what that form looks. There it is. Going to show you that form right there. And if you live in the Houston area and you're looking for people you can trust, the people that Tom trusts are his home show pros. You'll find them right there on our website. Just scroll down. If you don't know who, but you know what, we've also organized it by category. Yes.
I was listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's good to know. It's good to be heard. So anyway, and then that brings this broadcast to an end. And we will not be here next week. I'm so sorry, but we will be here in 2 weeks to do this again. And we look forward to hearing from you. You send your questions and catch Tom this weekend. And by all means, get there early while he's still in the hot tub.
Yes.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who knows. Home Show